If you're tired of the standard business and marketing fundamentals, frameworks, and funnels, you need a little mischief. Get ready to turn up the volume on the CEO Mischief Maker podcast, where you access conversations with seasoned business owners who have smashed through mindset barriers, innovated the standard boring business and marketing playbooks, and executed future-paced strategies with bleeding-edge tools and tactics to micro-fail their way into massive success and growth. We are Mindset Impact Strategic Catalysts helping innovative entrepreneurs focus. We are CEO Mischief Makers. Ready to make a little mischief? CEO Mischief Makers, welcome back to the conversation. If you have not listened to Monday's episode, please do, because my wonderful guest, Valerie Cobb, just set us up perfectly for this episode and innovation. So first off, welcome back to the conversation, Valerie. Here we go.
Thank you. I am so glad to be on again because it was so much fun on Monday.
Tell ya. All right. So when you talked about, when we talked on Monday, you specifically set us up to show your previous experience and all of the revenue, generating and, referral generating and repeat business generating work you've done and mindset shifts that you had to navigate in order to create the success or help your clients create the success that they're enjoying now. So impact, first off, who are you trying to impact in this world with your business? Who's your perfect client?
Well, my perfect client are those business founder owners that really struggle with understanding why they have either, I want to say they've flatlined or they've actually, when I say flatlined in sales. So maybe they were a good to great, and they went in and nothing's working anymore and they can't. A lot of times the first thing they say is, my sales team is crap, or whatever it is. Or marketing isn't doing its job. It's the articles aren't working or that sort of thing. I've worked in a lot of what we call pivots or resurrections for that reason, because it's just, I don't know if it's because they lose the momentum, the flywheel that they had originally and the passion around the product. But a lot of times they don't understand what's causing that. The other side of the fence is obviously your startups or those entering the marketplace. And the reason those are so fun is at Revenue North Star, one of our vision, kind of, whether you subscribe to a vision and a mission, there's different definitions of who describes. I'm not going to get into that. It doesn't matter what the definition is, but I have three things. There is God, family, and then business, because business can change lives faster than government can. And we've noticed globally some of the atrocities in government. I lived in the Cayman Islands. I've been all over the globe with this stuff. And, the new ideas that are coming out are a lot of times spawned by these young businesses that said, I could do it better, or I can do it faster, or, ideas are out there. We just haven't always tapped into them. And people don't even want to get me started on disruption and definitions of disruption and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is those startups, it's a wild, fun ride. Meaning the teams that you set up, they've got to get fast traction, whether they're bootstrapping, whether they're going for Series A, seed money, all the way through series raises or whatever. It's a wild ride. You're building teams super fast. You're in an agile, you're moving at the speed of light to get them to at least a good position to then backfill you if they need to, so those are fun. So, and I don't care what industry, because I've been in every one of them.
And business is business. You still have to, the equation is the same, no matter what business you're in. Okay. So when you talked on Monday, you talked about that experience of having that. You want to talk about North Star. The North Star is sales, retention, referral. I mean, it was the whole sale process was specifically geared toward that North Star of referrals, and there's a very specific type of onboarding and nurturing of the customer in order for that to happen. If they're happy and they love what you do and love what you do for them, you betcha they're going to send you people. So how does that previous experience and intuition, I know you've got a massive amount of intuition based on that.
I don't know.
How
It's mostly
you do. So how you know it off the top of your head. So how does that give you not necessarily an edge, but make you unique in the way that you help your clients? How is that your differentiator? Or is it something else, do you think?
That's a good question, because humans, we're unique, right? We're unique, but we repackage and repurpose things that I don't find are, and people will not like this, but I don't find it as unique. People will say, well, what's your differentiation? Well, sometimes it's a collection of things that is your differentiation. I'm a proponent of many sales methodologies, one of which is Challenger. And a lot of times when you're leading too uniquely to your solution, it is your competitors may have many of the same things, but there is something that you're packaging or repurposing or coming out with in a different light or a different way that does make you unique. If I were to answer in, you know how they always when you're interviewing people, they say, what's your greatest weakness? And you go, chocolate. And they're like, chocolate? And you're like, yeah, chocolate. It's my greatest weakness. My second is empathy. And they're like, what? And you're like, yeah. So I would say, when you say intuition, I've had life experiences that I'm not the best. Sometimes I'm a hero in my own mind, right? Like everybody else can be at times. But I would say I'm a pretty empathetic person, meaning I kind of live and I feel the pain that other people feel. Even if I don't show it in, like, you're training a salesman, or you're working through a marketing process, or you're talking to frustrated people. Sometimes you have to put on this face that is not showing that sometimes you feel like you might be dying inside. And I think the reason why, and living inside, like you're excited because they're excited for the momentum, and because you are empathetic, and I could get into Cuban refugees pulling on my dock down to traumatic experiences clear in high school that got you so that you are where you are today. But I found that everybody in normal human behavior wants the same thing. We want to be happy, right? And the happiness factor is what eventually brings us joy. We're going to go in lulls, and we're going to go in ups and downs and all of those things. So when we're ideating processes, or we're ideating new products, or a sales issue, or whatever we're doing, it comes fundamentally from the same thing from what you said in the beginning, which is basically, in business, we want customers to repeat, so we don't have to go and spend so much customer acquisition costs over and over again to just constantly refill the funnel. You want people to start to champion your product. You want them to start to refer to each other. You want upsells to, you say, hey, we did great on delivery, so buy this extra product, whatever that is. And it doesn't matter if it's in for profit or not for profit. The same thing happens. You want people to somehow subscribe to what you're offering, even in a nonprofit situation, right? So they translate really well, different terminology, but I think the key has always been to be able to put yourself in the buyer's shoes. you know, and empathy, that is empathy. We can say customer experience, we can call it all of those things, but if you can't put yourself in the customer's shoes, you can't develop a new product.
Yeah.
You can't train sales reps to say, okay, people always laugh, but to me, a definition of selling is solving a need and a challenge which heals pain. So the pain of same has always got to be greater than the pain of change. I train people to say that all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't change. We wear shoes that hurt. Women do this notoriously. It's like, hey, I'm going to wear these high heels. I look sexy. I'm so hot.
Yes.
And you're like, and probably guys are rolling their eyes going, yeah, you probably do look hot, but you probably look hot in flat shoes that were comfortable too. But at the same time, we wear these high heels and we're like running around wearing them and it hurts and everything, but we look hot. We're cool. This is great. It hurts. Now, if it gets to the point that it hurts so much, we take our shoes off.
That's right.
Right? And we get to the point where we're willing to change, whether that's healthcare related, whether that's the diet we should have gone in. I don't really care. It's human nature. We won't, but sometimes we don't even realize that it's our feet that are hurting us.
Yeah.
So if you don't understand empathy for what people go through, you can't even tap into healing the pain, nor causing the change that is needed, necessary to either push a product or create a product or do whatever you're ideating, whether you're fixing a process. I know one of the biggest pain points is when a salesman goes, gosh, the sales stalled because we couldn't get a quote out because it took us so long. Well, momentum is huge.
Yes.
That hurts, right?
Yes.
And so then what do you do to heal the pain? You fix the process, you fix the widget, the whatever it is. And that's not just a salesperson, that's anything. Yeah. So you go through and you heal that pain.
Yeah. But I think you are absolutely right. But I think the thing that differentiates you, I can imagine based on what you just said, that your customers and their customers, by virtue of the process you just outlined, feel heard. And not only is happiness important to us, but just to feel heard, just to feel like someone actually listened to us and heard what we needed and heard what we said, whether or not they could solve it. And I'm going back to what you talked about on Monday, when you talked about walking a customer down the road to another competitor's booth saying, they have what you need. That right there. And that customer came back to you because they felt heard. But when they were deposited in that competitor's stall, that competitor didn't hear it. All they heard was, they need this particular feature. I'm going to give them that feature. But they didn't hear really and empathize really with the pain of that particular customer. So they came back to you. And I think that is not just a superpower of yours, but that is how you innovate your space, how you take revenue and not just try and teach people how to sell to fix a problem, right? You went way deeper than fix a problem. You went to pain, heal the pain, not make it feel better, not mask it, not put a Band-Aid on it, heal it. And the analogies you used. So I really do think that experience is why you are so good at what you do and why there are so many people. Yeah, stop laughing. You know what I'm talking about.
I'm laughing because you are like the queen of interpretation. I'm going, yeah, we could write that in a story. Who is that person she's talking about? I mean, you are amazing. Just like, okay, can I just take
That's
you,
clarity.
put you in my pocket and we'll walk around?
That's my superpower. That is clarity. That is, I can listen to what you're saying and boil it right up into, this is what you just said, right? And you're like, oh yeah, that is. And it is. And that's why the people that you have introduced me to are just as amazing in their own right. And that's how innovation works. And I'm telling, please, everyone who's listening to my voice, you need to listen to this process. And instead of following some guru's formula that you think you've got to use to create a business and you've got to step 1 through A through Z, and you have to follow it exactly the way they outline it, please stop, take a deep breath, and go get a mirror and look in the mirror. And that's what you got to follow, because that's what's going to get you to where you want to go. That's what that guru used to get to where they wanted to go. So and obviously we can balance both, right? We need to learn from people, but I'm telling you, if you don't bring yourself and your previous experience to innovate what you do, you will not reach the success that you're looking for, unless you're just looking to pay the bills and be done and go and have a 9-to-5 job. Totally cool. Go do that. Right?
Well, so, that may be their goal. You never know. I've been surprised at their goals when they come in and I'm like, yeah, this one's a freebie because I really can't help you if that's it.
See, and you just solidified my feelings. You're still going to give them a freebie because you can't really help them long term, but you're going to try anyway, and you're going to listen to them and do it. All right, so I'll stop. Making you feel good, but it's truth. All right, so let's look into the future, because like you mentioned AI, you mentioned the technology changing all the time and the tools that we use changing all the time. How are you innovating for those changes?
Oh my gosh. Well, when I think about AI, I think of Star Trek.
Yes.
I did a presentation years ago and I called it So Long Palm, and it was for Shark Tank that we were doing. And it was to try to get organizations to bring together different ideas for new product dev for the next gen products, right? And in that, one person had stated, well, automated vehicles they'll be 20 years from now. And I went, you're going to be lucky if it makes it 5. And we did this I did this presentation called So Long Palm because I am a Trekkie fan. I actually wrote a Star Trek Next Gen episode back in the 90s, which is like the most silly thing. And no, it did not get accepted. However, there was an episode that was very close to what I submitted that came out.
Don't talk to me. I get it. That happens all the time. I did it too. Yeah.
And I don't know. I go back to even back in the Captain Kirk, the first releases.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, if we just haven't yet tapped into how to create that, because matter is neither created nor destroyed. We just organize it. And I remember a mind-blowing experience I was a physical science teaching assistant in college. And I remember trying to come up with ways to help the average college student understand physics, right? And I am not a science whiz, trust me. I don't even play one on TV, but it paid the bills. So at the end of the day, I remember thinking that has the same roots in ideation. Matter is neither created nor destroyed. Therefore, we have not understood everything that's before us. Just like in the year BC 100, they could not understand airplanes, but it was possible. In old Star Trek episodes, they'd go in and say, we can't violate the prime directive. This Earth doesn't have what it needs yet to have the technology. So we got to pretend we don't have technology. And it's, to me, the same thing in ideating the problem or any kind of future, is looking at it and say, it can happen. We just haven't figured out the way yet. And so when I was doing the So Long Palm at that time, Palm Pilot had actually had a phone interface clear back in 2004. And I actually had what is called a life drive, which had that with a stylus. Yes, you're raising your hand. With a stylus, by the way, that you could then write on a touch screen, much like a tablet today, which is in existence from some of the technology that we got from Star Trek, which was tablets. They actually have food replication now. They even have been working on beaming, different things. So back when I did this presentation, we were trying to give the statistics of how the market was moving forward and how you wanted to be on the front of the curve versus the top of the curve, and the education pieces and things with it. Just like if you were to go to an investor and try to pitch the idea. And, I found that is how I work through almost any of the problem solving ideas. Is there's an answer. We just haven't received it in our capacity at this moment. Right. And so as crazy as it may sound, I love crazy ideas, and crazy ideas turn into things that we do every day, such as using an iPhone to search the internet, to then have self-driving vehicles, to then have even all the drones that are happening and all those things. So I've been doing this since I was a little tiny kid, going, I bet you that this could be solved by some smart engineer that I can't do it, but the smart engineer could probably figure this problem out, you know? So hopefully that answered the question, but that's how I look at it. It's like roots in Star Trek. And even before then, any science fiction before then, because we know Foundation, we know a lot of the different science fiction books that have been out there. I just feel like they were a lot of dreamers that said the same thing. Matter's neither created nor destroyed. Therefore, ideas are just now understood versus, created. They're there. They're out there. Somebody's got it. Eventually, you will have it too. And that's how I think about it.
Okay, hold on. If your mindset was shifted, you were inspired to innovate, and you were spurred into action, don't just move on with your day. Focus, my friend, and take a few minutes to visit CEOmischiefmaker.com to learn more about the value that was shared with you today. Please act now and create some CEO mischief of your own.